success and some of the feedback you've had as a younger writer in this genre. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I kind of I accidentally fell into the genre about 2 years ago, Ron 48, and I might be mispronouncing that name. Kind of bumped into me at my booth at Comic-Con. We started talking about pulps. We started talking about the cereals, how much I love them, because my dad basically force-fed them to me. It's your fault.
Smart man.
Basically, and I just, he said, we have these pulps. He liked my work as my comic book. And he's like, well, do you want to write for us? And he had a list of characters, and one of them was Green Llama. And my dad collected these comics.
I still have them.
Yes, he still has them. He's in the audience, so that's some crazy guy yelling at me. So yeah, I had a chance to write them, and I wanted to sort of do something good for him, but also sort of give my own spin on it. And I'm kind of coming to these stories a little bit more postmodern. I'm the guys who write this are a little bit older than I am. I'm one of the younger ones, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I am. But basically, when I write my pulps, I don't generally write them in the style of the 1930s. I can't. I'm, born in the 1980s. I grew up watching Star Wars. I watch a lot of TV. I grew up reading Dark Knight Returns and Strikes Back, and all these things that are a little bit more. That took these characters into darker places and added layers. So when I write these pulps, I don't necessarily write them to be, he is good and he is bad. And then, they will fight and then the good guy will win. My first story, Horror and Clay, was about the Green Llama discovering a golem that destroys a Nazi... I can't believe I'm blinking on the word and I wrote it. A Nazi consulate, thank you. He destroys a Nazi consulate and he fights the golem, and then eventually turns out that the guy who sent him after is a rabbi who learned about the Holocaust, and he was going to try and stop it. So the bad guy is a good guy, and the Green Llama just caused the Holocaust. So the take I bring to this is I want to add a little bit more depth to it. I don't want to write towards just the old school fans who I love. And I write these Green Llama novels to tie into the original pulps, into the original comic books, into the secondary comics, even up to Project Superpowers. I do hint at stuff that goes on in those stories. I want this to be a single narrative. So I do love these stories, but I don't want just the old school fans to love it. I want... And I say this because you're in the audience, I want you girls to read it here. I want guys to read it nowadays, and I want them to appreciate, who these characters were, but add some depth to them. So I make my characters flawed, which is a lot of other authors really don't seem to like. My Drethu Dumont makes a lot of mistakes. Again, he caused the Holocaust. And, there are things that, so when I bring to it, I try to make it a little bit more literary, which... is sometimes a bad word. I try to make it a little more complex. I might succeed at it. I don't know. I could just be talking my ass about this. But I want these to be... I want, in 10 years, people to read these and say, this took the character to a modern-day audience, to a different level than it was. Just, basically, the Green Llama was a shadow pastiche. Basically, the shadow was successful. We need a new guy. Let's make the Green Llama. I want to make him his own character. So that's really it in a nutshell. I can go on. I really like hearing myself talk.
That's great. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Doc Doyle, yes. Mark mentioned this before. We're both in a upcoming novel anthology called Mystery Men and Women, in parentheses, and parenthetical for some reason, Volume 2. And Doc Doyle, who is the character there, and is not modeled on me. I cannot emphasize that enough. But that is me. But basically, Doc Doyle is my take on Doc Savage. I've always liked the idea of Doc Savage, and they're going to crucify him in a minute, but I really don't like his stories. I've read him a lot. I think he's a great idea for a character, but I've always had difficulty with the idea of these characters that are perfect and they're good just to be good. I like the Green Llama because he does it based on faith. It's his Buddhist faith. He wants to do something, especially because of what he believes. But guys like Doc Savage, and I'll get to you in a second.
No, I just wanted to ask, have you read Magic and Mystery and Tibet by Alexander David Neal?
No.
That was the book that inspired the Green Llama by the French woman who was the first Westerner to become a llama.
I thought he was based on Theos Bernard, the white llama who went there in 1938.
I should probably read both books, but the Magic and Mystery and Tibet goes into a lot of Tibetan magic and mystery.
And, like, it
and it
does
was
with the gods,
reprinted
too,
by Dover Paperback
I will
20
check
years
that
ago,
out.
so you can easily get it.
Yeah. Okay. But we'll probably get on that in a bit. But Doc Doyle is sort of like my take on a pulp hero in the real world. Like, what would it take for a character like Doc Savage to exist? So, of course, I make him Jewish. And I make him a very, very flawed character. And I've gotten some really good responses. I've also got some responses that this isn't Pulp. And I'm not going to name names because this is being videotaped. But there are certain people who don't feel it's Pulp at all because there is no redemptive arc to this character. And he is flawed to high hell. And he's not that likable. And it's sort of my deconstruction, and again, it's postmodern deconstruction of the characters and that pastiche. It's just like, why be good? I mean, maybe it's like, one of the points I make in the story is, a hero, there's no such thing as a hero, it's just someone doing something that felt good to him, that felt good to others at the same time. And it's, it's also, it's set in a slightly alternate world, so it's like, what if this guy existed? But that's that story there.
Some of us disagree with you that there are no real heroes.
I know. But we skipped something real fast.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this real quick.
This is coming up pretty soon. This is I'm kind of excited about this because it's a pulp anthology. It's my first Green Llama comic that I'm doing, and it sets the stage for my next novel, Green Llama Crimson Circle, which is really, really dark, and it has a dead baby in it. And it's really dark, but it has a scene in it, and I'm really excited because I am on a secret mission, not so secret anymore, to outdo Kendall Foster Crossan in terms of word count and basically doing everything he's done. He's done novels, he did comics, and I'm now doing audio plays. So eventually, I will outdo his word count, and I will dance.
When can we expect this one?
This is coming out early in November. I think it's going to be available on Indie Planet. I kind of want to keep on writing Green Llama comics, and I want to, I would love to write more of them, and I have a whole 8-issue story planned taking place during the Second World War. Dynamite. So that's me.
Does he really team up with the Domino Lady, or is that a fluke?
Well, I can't. I don't want to say. I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
Okay.
But no.
Is there truth in colors?
That looks great.
Yeah.
Good. Let's switch to